Hello and welcome to this edition of the Time with Hime podcast. I'm joined by our superintendent, Mr. Hime. Welcome back.
Hey, it's 2 weeks. We try not to miss, but last week at this time, we were buried under snow and cold weather.
Cold temps and some water. So
shout out to our people. You know, that was a struggle for us because, you know, we talk about it a lot. The things we hate the most when we call those days is we feel like our schools are warmer than some of our homes. We provide food. We know we got parents that have to go to work no matter what, and it just creates difficulty for everyone. So although they're relaxing sometimes for staff members, snow days we know cause problems, and so we try to limit the number we have. And then you stack on top of it, and we'll get into that in a minute, that we had the virtual Monday already planned. So, you know, again, a shout out to our people. We did virtual days. We did do a one snow day because we had a snow day built into our calendar. But it was a different, but there was you think about it, we went almost 2 weeks with 1 day of school on that Friday. So that was a lot of time off. And we did send a lot of food home that Friday. A lot of kids, I saw them leaving school with food, but it wasn't near as much food as we had. And then when you can't get your cooks up to the cafeteria, you can't get the milk trucks in, you can't get...
A lot of people, it wasn't even like we took a virtual day and a snow day because traffic was stopped and trucks and deliveries were stopped, everything.
Our parking lots, it was just
a mess.
You know, right here on top of the pandemic, we had our worst cold spell in decades, and so shout out to our people getting through the virtual days. I've heard a lot of good comments. Obviously, our snowmen, snow angel contest that we had our students send to us was awesome. We got some great pictures. We're going to have some of our people review them, and we're going to pick some winners. But just great when we can send that and create those Facebook videos. And we actually created a video. Shout out to your team for our board members to see. And you know, it's just to see our kids do that is just, you know, when you're the thing you miss a lot about being a superintendent is you're not around kids every day. Most of us got in this business to be around kids. And to see those pictures, it's really exciting to me. And a shout out to all those of you who sent us pictures. We looked through them. We put them on Facebook. Thank you so much. And we're glad some of our students got to enjoy the snow days. And now we're back to normal closer.
We are. And for our families, we're going to share our video. We have them online, and we'll put a link in the YouTube description. But you can also search them on our feeds, our social feeds, by using the We Are LPS hashtag and the Lawton PS. And they're there. So if you haven't seen Mr. Hime's Snow Angel Challenge, you've got to check that out.
Well, there we go. Yeah, okay.
That was great.
But the worst thing...
Yes, and let's get into that.
Was damage to our school sites. The sub-zero temperatures. We know we had some community members without electricity, without water. You know, my daughter was in Texas. She went like 5 days in Austin without electricity. So, you know, we were lucky in Oklahoma for the most part, but we did have some damage to our schools. You know, we had quite a few that had some minor damage. Freedom, we got them up and running pretty quick, but they did have a sprinkler head bust, so there's some restoration there. But we had 2 sites that are just really in serious shape. MacArthur Middle School has quite a few rooms in their library, and so, you know, we hate to declare it, but they're virtual until spring break. You know, for once, I'd like to say, no, y'all got to come back early. But, you know, I don't know that will be possible. But they're virtual until spring break, and then Edison Elementary is total loss, but we were lucky we were able to move those students to Adams, except for pre-K, K, and 1, who is at...
Pre-K and K.
Pre-K and K, I'm sorry. Yes, the
Tree.
first is Adams. Pre-K and K is at Learning Tree. And that transition has gone awesome. Just a shout out to all the teachers. You know, we had teachers at Adams that taught virtual. First, we had to move them to Washington to clear out the space. And they were troopers. They stepped up on Monday. Then we had to start moving the Edison teachers in. And, you know, there's nothing worse than moving in March, basically, for teachers. And elementary teachers are all about, you know, processes and procedures and keeping things in a norm in an orderly fashion. And this was tough. But, I mean, they're back in school and seeing their faces that they're glad to be back face-to-face. But pandemic, snowmageddon, all this stuff going on with the COVID, and on top of it, we got students moving and teachers moving, and it's like I talked to the MacArthur Middle School teachers. They're excited. It's like, but if they wanted to be virtual teachers, they would have applied to be virtual teachers. And if the parents of these children wanted their students to be virtual and applied, but we really just didn't. People talked about they used different options in the past where they brought them in at different times of the night and stuff, and we just felt for this 3-week period, the virtual. I mean, there was no good answer to how to solve the problem. This was the best one we came up with.
And the crews are working. I went and visited the sites, and staff have moved their stuff out. MacArthur, the walls are already being cut out, and drying is happening. So it's happening. It's moving. It's just it does take some time.
I will give a shout out because some of the MacArthur, the Jack and his crew, Jack Hanna, our maintenance guy, and Dr. James, who's over that part of our district. And some of the teachers at MacArthur talked about, and I've seen some emails from it, that they're glad we're doing it right. That we're tearing things out and we're going to repair it and make it right. We're not going to try to do it on the cheap because, in this era with everything else that's going on, who wants to work in a building that may have mold? So, we got the dryers in there. We're going to cut out the bad, dry it. We're going to put in new sheetrock. We're going to do things right. And that's a shout out. Again, Jack and his crew they worked all weekend to get some of these other sites up where we could have class. Just again, across this district, I say this a lot, but across this district since I moved here, from my standpoint as a superintendent, the people who work with me to make things right, I've just been, every day I have something that impressed me or excites me or amazes me at how great some of the people are in our district at making things happen and stepping up when we need to step up.
And we're ready to do that. And we're speaking of virtual days with MacArthur Middle School, and Edison had those 2 days before they could get back into the building. But let's talk about the high school and what that looks like, and remind our families we do have a letter coming out, but in March, April, and May, we're doing that.
Because high schools have so many activities in the spring, starting in March, when you start thinking of baseball, softball, they have music, all the different things they have going on. We tried to move as many as we could to Friday, and then we made Fridays virtual just for the 3 high schools. High schools as a norm, when I talked with them here, because it's been the history I've had in my career in education, that on Fridays you struggle to find enough subs, get classes properly covered and supervised, because we have so many teachers and support and people out, and a lot of the time they're out to go to school activities. So when you take the teachers out to go to school activities and other reasons, you get short. So throw in the COVID and some of the things that it's bringing with it, and the number we have missing because of that, we just really felt like it was going to be tough to safely cover the high schools over on Fridays during this spring. And instead of waiting till the last minute to make those decisions, we just decided we would declare every Friday a virtual day in March and April, just to get us through. Now, a little bit of change just for the staff. The staff members who aren't certified, we've got some subs hired, some permanent subs, and some different people, and subs who sub on a daily basis. We will move those to other buildings to get them a chance so they can continue to do their job. Now, certified people won't change jobs. The certified people, they'll be in the building working. It'll be what we call an on-site virtual day for them. So, that was, again, a solution. Hopefully that works good for us. It may be something we look at in the future, having some virtual Fridays.
We were short on subs, which is part of the reason about the high school days, but the subs that we did have in those buildings can now assist in other sites.
Yeah, we have like 2 permanent subs in each one of them, and so they can go help at, the ones at Eisenhower High School can go to Eisenhower Middle School that day to help, because again, Fridays are a struggle for subs at some of the middle schools too. So, the elementary teachers, I've met with some of them, they don't want Fridays off because that's an assessment day to them. They want their 5-day normal week. So it does create some changes. We are going to evaluate it, because even next year when we're back to norm, we're going to say we're going to be back to normal next year, business as we used to do it. Fridays can be a struggle anyway, so there's a possibility we could take some virtual Fridays in the spring anyway, just to alleviate some of the fear. Sometimes we have school on Fridays in the spring at high school level. We have so many activities and so many students, teachers, and staff members out that we're not sure that we're actually, first of all, education, the instructional process is really slowed down on those days, if not completely stopped. but we don't know if we safely monitored it. And this is a way to make that. So we're going to work with our parents. Make sure you work with your school if you need transportation to career tech, your concurrent, some of those things you need to do. The food and some of those things. If it's a thing with you, they'll the middle school or somewhere they'll open up a site for you. Just talk to your principal, your staff member, and we'll work with those high school students to make sure any kind of services they need on those days we provide.
And we're speaking of high school, and something that's exciting this week that's happening is our first virtual career fair for our seniors.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, isn't it? We had our first virtual career fair. It's Friday, which is just right before we're recording and probably right before you right after you release, whatever. Get it?
It's happening this
well,
week.
shoot. Yeah. But yes, it's happening on Friday, and it's pretty exciting. I've looked at some of that, and that'll probably be something we do in the future because you're able to bring in some people from outside that may not have came in any year that. When the student logs on and clicks, that person is sitting there waiting for somebody to come talk to, and so I think it's going to be really exciting.
And the one thing we want to discuss that was really big for us, and the reason we took that other virtual day on Monday was our clinic.
Yes, we gave out vaccinations. The number is somewhere around 900 if you count the others. We think we gave about 1,000 vaccinations at Lawton High School that day. So right now in Lawton Public Schools, every staff member who wants the vaccine should have got their first shot. If there's anybody out there that doesn't, we're going to start looking for them. We're going to try to find a way to make an arrangement for you to get your first shot. Now, just for everyone to know, on March 26th is the date now, we will schedule that second vaccination. So March 26th, which is a Friday, will be a district virtual day. So everybody will get their second vaccination on that day. Hopefully, when that happens, the CDC just put out that changes the whole quarantine rules. If you've had your second vaccination 10 days into it, you are considered, I guess,
not immune, but you're protected a little.
Protected enough that the only way you're not quarantined, you don't have to stay home. If you are sick, they want you to isolate, which is if you're sick, you should stay home anyway, whether it's systemic flow or a cold or any. We kind of learned if we'll stay home with any kind of sickness, we don't spread it as bad. The flu's almost gone away. We don't have people with colds. I mean, it's been besides the COVID, the disease factor, strep, and all that's been pretty minor this season. So. Getting closer and closer to normal. Again, our faculty will be back to normal from a standpoint of how we look at COVID. On April 5th, we'll be close to normal with faculty and staff. So, I guess I would shout out to faculty and staff. If there's somebody who works with students, they're saying subs, bus drivers, cooks, anybody who day-to-day works with students. If you want a vaccine and you have not got a vaccine, get with your principal, your supervisor. We'll get a time scheduled for you to get a vaccine. We'll help you work with it. And then on the 26th will be the second vaccine. And
it was great to see other districts coming in and taking advantage of it at the same time. And we had some that had second shots, and we were able to save them from traveling to other locations, and they could come get it right here on site.
And I think I do this every time, but shout out again to the health departments and the nurses and vaccines. Yes. Shout out to Mary Cotton and our nurses.
Yes.
Because that's one of the reasons that, why they take a virtual day. Well, we do it virtually for 3 or 4 reasons. One of the reasons is it keeps us from having to move people in and out and cover classes. It's already a struggle. Number 2, it frees up all of our nurses to give the vaccination. So with all of our nurses in their given vaccinations, we're able to do that all in one day. Yeah, otherwise, our nurses, they do have jobs. They can't just all leave their jobs. We've been, in some cases, able to free up 2 or 3 here to help at some of the big clinics. So, again, across the state, with our volunteers who help, and the people in our district who have helped run the clinics, and then with the health department, the clinics they've set up, or the pods, it's well known across the state that Southwest Oklahoma, Lawton in particular, is doing this the right way. This is the place you want to go to get a vaccination where it's done in a great way. So shout out to our staff and the command and that teamwork we've had to make that a success.
Let's continue the shout outs. What's going on this week that we want to celebrate? We have state wrestlers and state swim.
State swimmers. We had some people at state swimming. We had a second place finish. We have state wrestlers going to state wrestling. Hey, we're starting regional basketball. It's springtime. It's that time of year, and it's great that they're getting to do all of this. Hopefully, again, we get closer and closer where we get back where we can pack the gyms and be excited. I know MacArthur boys and girls are at home for regionals. So check your schedule to see where your teams are playing. Hopefully the Sports Network covers some of the games on TV. And we're excited about that and supporting all of our teams and our students in all their activities that are coming up.
Is there anything else that you want to celebrate or share with our families before we end our podcast? We kind of
got it all.
Fun.
I'm sure there's something else we missed, and if there's something you know about or someone else knows about, again, it's INFO. We're info@lawtonps.org. Sure, please email us if there's questions you have. Again, a shout out to our community, our teachers, our parents. First year here, we have a pandemic. We've had virtual days. We've worked through this. We've had just everything we've had, and the positive just so overwhelmed the negatives. We know that there's going to be people, we can't make everybody happy all the time, but even so many people that's emailed and they're trying to handle it at a local level and talking to their people, just the fact that you don't see it all over social media and stuff, and anytime something goes wrong is, thank you guys for that, because our job is to try to, serve you and make the educational process great. Oh, COVID summary.
Yes, it's still up there,
Oh,
updated.
it's dropping, man. You need to check it. It is, please check it. It is dropping. We are getting there. The vaccinations are helping. They're helping with us. Obviously, a snowstorm creates a little bit of isolation for everybody. That's going to help in the next few days. But there's a lot of people out there saying we're getting closer to herd immunity is what they call it. And, wouldn't it be great if we roll into August and we start back normal? That's where we start with the enrollment. Some of that stuff's going to start coming out.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. We're talking about enrollment. Pre-K families, open enrollment. It's here.
Yes, and that's a little different.
Yes.
We're going to do our best to get you where you want to be.
Yes.
So don't, somebody said they used to sit in line somewhere.
We used to have sign-ups, and we've gotten away from that. So now we're just doing direct enrollment. So we are ready to start taking our babies and...
Yes, to meet your needs. And then we're also going to start pretty quick on getting with our families that are virtual to see how many of them are going to want to be virtual next year, even if we're back to normal, so we can decide how that's going to look to next year. We have decided we're going to continue to offer our flexibility to our parents. There's obviously things we're going to do different just because we talk all the time. You don't have to be bad to be better. You got to work to get better every day. So we're going to tweak some things to make it better from our teacher standpoint, our counselor standpoints, and our parent standpoint, and to improve what we do virtually. But we're going to offer virtual AM, PM, student-paced, teacher-paced, all those platforms we're offering now. Our intentions are to offer those next year. So be looking for that and be making your decisions so we can make good decisions on staffing based upon your needs and your wants.
All right, Mr. Hime, anything else before we go?
Nope. See you next week.
That's right. Thank you, you guys. Be safe, stay well, make positive impacts, and until then, we will see you there.